Three, two, one, let's go. Here we are, 411 Sports World Network on YouTube. That is 411 Sports World Network on
All
YouTube.
right.
Like,
Let's hear it for the
subscribe.
network.
Yep. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and share because sharing is caring. Make sure you do those things. And we'll definitely appreciate you for doing that. It doesn't cost you a dime to do it. Just a little bit of your time. All right. In the panel, go ahead and introduce the panel of experts tonight. And we're going to use that term experts lightly. But Freedom Warrior, what's going on, Freedom Warrior?
Oh, you got it right here. The Freedom Warriors in the house. I'm here tonight to listen to these other experts because I'm sure there's something that they're going to share that's going to be like really positive and will give people the right information. And that's what people need to hear. They need to hear the truth and they need to hear information that's good. And I hear Tony's in the house.
Yeah. Hot Tub, what's up? Oh, unmute Hot Tub. Hot Tub, you got to unmute. You got to unmute. Okay. Try it one more time. Yeah, okay. Can anybody hear Hot Tub?
Unfortunately, no, I can't hear him, but I see him. And
He's doing a great job. If he was ventriloquist.
and he's the guy that you got to see him and you got to hear him. He's got a lot to say.
He does. And let's give him one more shot at it.
Okay, let's give him another try.
Can you hear me
Hot
now?
Tub.
Oh,
Yes.
You hear me now?
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
sir.
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Hot Tub, introduce yourself.
One and on the hot tub, Tony. Y'all know me. I be around these streets sometimes.
Yes, sir. He is the king of controversy, ladies and gentlemen. And he takes that with pride. So Hot Tub's going to give you his thoughts. You got to take it what he gives you. He gives you what he believes, and he's strong on that. And he really gives you things that you need too. And so that's why we always love to hear from Hot Tub Tony. And
Definitely.
Yep, absolutely. Here's another gentleman that I love listening to as well. He's been kind of MIA with the way the Falcon season's been going. But Brooks, the showcase. What's going on, Brooks?
Well, what's up? I would like to preface this by saying that sports betting in Georgia is illegal, and I do not partake in it at all. So just throw that out there. Public service announcement.
There you go. All right. So yeah, this is the panel for tonight, and as you can see on the screen there, we're going to talk about it. The FBI and the sports world and the Mafia all coming together here. We're going to talk about the people that are involved. That is talked about a lot, and give our thoughts on that, like who's really facing the worst end of this thing. And then we'll get get our guys' perspectives about the FBI. Are they talking about not the FBI, the Mafia? Are they really talking about the Mafia enough in the media? And we also want to figure out, like, man, how did these guys get involved with the Mafia? Or we'll give our theories on that and what the NBA and other sports leagues, what do they need to do moving forward with this thing? And then again, something else that's not on here, we're going to talk about people that play daily fantasy sports and all that kind of stuff, and see what the reaction. What do we think that's going to happen with people like myself who play a lot of fantasy sports? And so we want to dive in all these things and more on the 411 Sports World Network. Make sure you also go to TikTok, Mr. 411, MISTER FOURONEONE. That's Mr. 411 on TikTok and on Instagram. And then if you look up on the screen, you'll see what they call a QR code. It should be showing up on the screen somewhere. If not, we'll make sure it does.
Okay.
But check out that screen. It should be a QR code up there that we would love for people to scan. And as they say on Coming to America, we like the money that jingles. but we prefer the kind that fold. But we also prefer the kind that's electronic. So
Yeah, we like quiet money, quiet.
yeah. So yeah, we will take any amount there. All right. It helps me bring guys like these gentlemen on. And it helps keep the lights on a little bit too. All right, we appreciate all that. All right, man. All right, gentlemen. Sports betting, man. The FBI has come out. Patel's come out and all of his crew, and they talked about this big get that they have right now at this moment, where they caught the mafia families out here involved with some legal poker um, nights or events going on, and it seems like there's some NBA players that we know that have been reported like that they've been involved with it. As far as like, for example, Chauncey Billups, former head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, and they say that he was lured. He was brought in to be the person that could kind of lure more other people, in particular other athletes, other people, because of his status. To come in and partake in these games. These games
Yeah,
are
he was the bait to catch the fish.
Yeah,
there.
the
You go.
facilitator.
Right. Okay. So he's
Mhm.
brought in as that, but the games, you think you're playing some clean poker, but you're already losing as soon as you walk in the door and sit down. And once those cards start shuffling, so they have machines that can shuffle the deck, can read the deck, X-rays. I mean, there's all kind of stuff going on where
Yeah.
basically the game is rigged, right? So you're not going to win. And there's been approximately $7 million, not just in this one thing now, but just overall over a course of time. There's been about $7 million that has been
Mhm.
illegally won. And so, with that said, gentlemen, let's get your thoughts on it. We'd like to. I'll do my best to kind of just say, "Hey, you go first. You go first." But on the screen, let's just kind of go by what's on the screen right now. We'll start with Brooks, and then Brooks, when you're done, pass it to Freedom Warrior, and then Freedom Warrior pass it to Hot Tub. And in between that, gentlemen, we will be able to comment. But let's just try to make sure everybody can get their points in and go
Okay.
from there. All right. We'll start off with you, Brooks, to showcase.
Yeah, a couple of things that kind of stood out initially. First of all, um, the timing of the announcement, right? Right after opening night, that can't be a coincidence, right? You know, Conspiracy Brooks wants to say that the NBA is kind of the more progressive of the sports leagues, in that we have obviously a conservative White House, conservative Congress. So conservative Brooks, Conspiracy Brooks thinks the timing was kind of intentional there. The other thing is interesting is Terry Rozier, because the NBA acquitted him, right? And then the government, the federal government charged him. So that's interesting. I haven't heard anything, response for the NBA about that. Maybe I just haven't come across it, but it seems like they would address that, right? Seems like if you acquitted him and then the federal government charged him, it seemed like that would be something you would address. So that's the kind of the initial things that stood out.
Yeah.
You know, from a gambling, from a sports betting gambling perspective, one thing we need to keep in mind is, this has probably happened a lot of times before, but this is probably the first time it's ever been kind of, publicized and put into spotlight and caught like this, right? Sports betting, and is getting into bed with all these leagues. And sports betting has gotten a lot more sophisticated. They have algorithms and AI. They can sense, when a lot of money is coming on, say, a Terry Rozier over or under, right? They know these type of things.
Yeah.
And with betting becoming more mainstream, the things like this is going to come out and open more. But that doesn't mean they haven't been happening all along. That that's People need to put that in perspective. This has probably been happening since the dawn of time. There's always been bookies. There's always been sports betting. Whether it's been legal or not, it's always happening. And I'm sure like a lot of this is unregulated and not, and people haven't gotten caught for it. So this is kind of the first time people have been caught in a high profile case. Not the first instance, but obviously there's been instances. But I think people need to have in their mind this is probably more prevalent than than it lets on, right? The other thing that kind of that my initial take is, I work in the government, and we have training all the time about people who try to get inside information from you, right? If it's foreigners, foreign nationals getting inside information about, whatever knowledge that we may have working for wherever it is, maybe. And I kind of draw some parallels here. I think these bookies and these guys, I think, the NBA players maybe have a little bit more training on, what's the intent of these guys I'm befriending, right? So
Yeah.
I think these bettors, these bookies and all these people, I think they may be befriending these athletes, and then all of a sudden, they make them a little money or whatnot, and all of a sudden they're asking them to do this, they're asking them to do this, maybe threatening them, you know. Maybe they've gotten close to them and they know their families, they know all this personal information about them, and maybe it gets to a point where now it's okay, we're not friends anymore. You're gonna do this for me, or I'm gonna hurt somebody, or I'm gonna do this, right? I think that's another part of it. I think the NBA needs to look at, they need to really train their guys to watch out for this. And I think that's probably what's happening in this case, especially with like a Terry Rozier. Now, as far as the
Okay,
other
well,
poker
you
game,
tossing it down.
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
those are kind of my initial reactions. Um,
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the
Okay.
poker game, I think the poker game is going to be a lot more severe consequences because that's one that connected to the mafia. That's connected to a lot more money than the sports betting, I believe. So
Yeah.
your Chauncey Billups is other word. I think that's where you're going to get the more severe, charges is for something like that because I think that's where the money is, right?
Okay.
So those are
And,
kind of my initial thoughts on the thing. So I'll pass it on.
okay. And let's,
So,
let's hit the
like,
mute for a second. I just want to try to figure out what a little feedback was real quick. Can everybody hit mute except for Brooks just for a second? And let me just see if that changes things. Uh, and just say something else, Brooks. Say go Falcons or something.
I'm not saying that. I refuse. Jack 1-2. Y'all got me.
Yeah, I got you, but there's just a little feedback coming. Maybe there's something you
Okay.
can adjust over there. I think that's where it was coming from. I was just trying to make sure because you dropping some a heck of a lot of knowledge there and a lot of things that we're going to dive deeper into. And I'm glad you brought up the Rozier piece because we got to talk about that too. Because that's definitely going to dive into our fantasy, sports betting and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay, you passed it on to Freedom Warrior. What's up?
well, I heard something that Mr. Brooks said that sort of touched on maybe uh, causing, an attitude out here that says, it's the federal government that's coming after gamblers. Well, you know, I think that's the federal government's charge is to fight crime. And what is happening here is criminal, no matter how you want to look at it, particularly from the perspective of the players who are on the inside and who are going along with, setting these games to a point where people are winning money and losing money based on inside information. And it happens in government too. I mean, let's just take a look at what happens inside government sometimes. Politicians get a tip on a stock, and sometimes they jump in and they pass legislation that works in their favor, and they end up making millions of dollars because they have inside trading information. And what happens if in government is that it affects how they vote, how they play the game inside the halls of politics. And then we look in sports, and it's pretty much the same deal. They know inside information, they pass it on, and it affects the outcome. Now, should the federal government now be involved? Well, we have an administration in the White House now that says that we're going after crime. We don't care where crime is, we're going to find it and we're going after it. if it's in the sports world, if it's in the political world, wherever it may be, if it's on the streets, we're going after criminals. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I don't understand why these guys who already make millions of dollars already, why they would throw their careers away just to make a few $100,000. Now, I think that what happened with these players is that they got in so deep that they can find their way out. You know, it's like you keep digging, and you just keep going down, and you can't find your way out. And the mafia's got them right where they want them. So they belong to the mafia. Okay, they are the mafia's asset. And Chauncey Billups, with the kind of money he's making, is making as a coach, and these other guys making all this money, why do you need to do that? You know, now you got a guy like you or me or Mr. Brooks there who might want to place a little bet on a game. Well, we do it in fun, you know, and hopefully with the intent too of making a few dollars, but we're not going to the mafia, and we're not doing this underworld stuff, and we're not bringing in people and shaking them down for thousands of dollars. And this criminal behavior, folks, no matter what you say about it, it is criminal. And Stephen A. Smith came out and said, oh, it's Trump. Trump's coming after you. It's Trump. And I think Stephen A. Smith, who sometimes, you know, says a little too much about too many things and then have to always come back and eat his words, needs to be silent on this issue. Okay, he needs to not try and point fingers and try to say it's the federal government's fault that these guys are doing what they're doing, or that the government's calling it out. It's crime. Okay, I'm gonna toss it to Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
I got a different take. I agree with both of your takes, but I'm going to expand this out a little bit more, because the question that nobody's really asking is why? Why now? Betting on sports, and the mafia in sports betting and gambling in general has been going on for over 100 years now. So why now? And if you look at what's going on in society, this has happened before. See, before corporate America enters the sector, they have to clear out the criminal element. We saw this in Las Vegas. When Vegas was mob ran, it was Wild Wild West. Well, right before the corporations came in and took over, they did a sweep and got as many mobsters out of the casino business as possible, which left the door open for corporate America to come in and buy up casinos at an inflated price. The mobsters made money on their way out the door. Corporate America has made money over the last 40 to 50 years in Vegas. So as we're seeing the proliferation of sports gambling becoming more mainstream, what the federal government is doing in conjunction with corporate America and these companies that want to get into the gambling arena, you know, companies like Classy, FanDuel, you know, of those types, they have to clear out the criminal element first. And that's what we're seeing. We saw this with Prohibition. We saw this in Vegas. And now we're seeing it on sports gambling. And what we're going to see is after these sweeps, this is going to go on for about 2 to 5 years. Then after it's all said and done and the dust settles, then you're going to see the corporations go full steam ahead into legalized sports gambling. So that's the bigger picture, because it's happened before. America always goes in cycles. It does the same thing over and over again. And this is just a cycle of it. The federal government uses the FBI in particular to clear out the riffraff before corporate America, before the corporations come in and take over. Now, how do we get the athletes involved in this? That's addiction. You know, you're dealing with people who have a gambling addiction, and they get in debt to the mafia figures. Somebody introduced them to the games. They say, okay, what got you in? They let you run up a tab, normally $250,000 to $500,000. Then they say, hey, you need to pay this off, because it is never the person that brought you to the game that's doing this. They're just the figurehead for for the mafia figures behind them, and they said, "Come to you." Michael Francesi said this on Vlad TV. They come to you after you done ran up the debt. Say, "Hey, you owe me $500,000. Can you pay this off right now?" Of course, most people don't have, even professional athletes may not have access to $500,000 cash money at that time. They hit you with the no problem. This is how you're going to repay me. In the case of Chauncey Billups and Rozier, they were just the faces of it. When you look at the actual indictment, it's all Italian, Albanians, I think a couple of Greeks, but they're all known mob figures under the indictment. It's like 20-something odd people on the indictment. Why are Chauncey Billups and Rozier the faces of this? Because what you're not seeing is the names and faces of the known mafia associates that are actually behind this. And that's the part I don't like, is you wheel out the athletes to be the face of criminality. You wheel out the black athletes to be the face of the criminality. Yet you let the people behind it go anonymous. And when you look at their rap sheets, shout out to a YouTube channel called The Black Authority. He actually sat down and broke out the rap sheets of everybody involved in the indictment. I encourage anybody to go look at his program on Sunday, his broadcast on Sunday, where he did that. When you see that these are felons with long rap sheets going back decades, and nobody's talking about them. That's the real story behind it. Not Chauncey Billups and Rozier. They had nothing to do with the games themselves. They were just the face to bring in other professional athletes and big money guys that just wanted to be around a professional NBA.
Okay, hot tub. Can I inject something?
Yes, sir.
I understand that you're saying that maybe perhaps this has some type of racial motivation involved in terms of who's being on the front page right now, and that's Billups, Rozier, and is it Jones?
Yeah, Damon Jones.
No relation, but
and no relation.
no relation. But the point is, I think that what they're trying to do is expose what's happening inside sports, because yes, NBA just kicked off a season. Is there gambling going on, and these games are being fixed? Same thing, I think, in NFL, in hockey, in other sport events. There's a lot of fixing going on, and I think that the mafia has turned to the sports leagues to further their endeavors. And unfortunately, we start here. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's more to come.
This is nothing new. This has been going on since the 1920s, since as early as the 1920s. This is not new in any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no, I'm not saying it's new, but at some point in time, if a society is to believe that everything is above board and that these games are being played out fairly and without question, then quite naturally, we would like to believe that. But behind the scenes, a lot of these things are being fixed. It's not just the card game, it's who's throwing a game. Let's go back to Pete Rose. Pete Rose bet on baseball, bet against his own team. We've got a lot of players who are betting against their own team, and that's not a good thing.
I got a couple points. I got a couple points. Going back to motivation, there is a competitive nature, and we're talking about the best athletes in the world, whatever sport you want to talk. There's a competitive to them, right? There's an edge to them. Think about Michael Jordan, known gambler, Charles Barkley, known gambler. And again, addiction Of course, addiction probably has something to do with it too. But there's a competitiveness to it, and there, it's very well known, in these, especially with the NBA and these these long plane rides, and these card games go on, and they get competitive. I think there's something to be said for that. That I think whatever these guys put their mind to, they want to do to the very best, right? And I think that leads them to, probably some of them to have that, to go into that moral gray area, because they're just competitive athletes. They want to be the best at whatever they do. And if they get into gambling, that's a competitive thing, right? You want to win. You want to win money. So, as far as motivation goes, I definitely think that's part of it.
Well, I
Um,
don't see that as being anything that's honorable, really. I mean, I would hope that every man who walks the face of the earth, to some degree, is a competitive individual, or, competes at some level for some reason or another. But when you already at a level that you've achieved uh, wealth and notoriety, why would you do something that is totally illegal and immoral just to say I'm competitive? I'm still competing. Stay on the right track, stay on the right road, be the right role model. You know,
But for,
because anytime you cross that line and you are doing something illegal, eventually it's going to catch up to you. What you do in the dark, as my grandmother used to say, will come to the light.
but I think you're kind of oversimplifying it. It's with gambling. It's been a concerted effort, especially over the last decade or so, to mainstream gambling, to take it out of the realm of being a vice to something that's normalized. The same, and like I said before, the same thing they did during Prohibition. When we came off of Prohibition, there was a negative stigma towards alcohol. But over time, afterwards, they wiped out the criminal element. They took the bootleggers out of the equation. That was the first thing that the federal government did, and then they went on to normalize alcohol. And that's what we're seeing today with professional gambling. They're normalizing it to where we don't want it to be a vice because it's a very profitable business. That's why you're seeing corporate entities backing these companies such as FanDuel. They're coming in. These new companies. They're being underwritten by major investment firms like BlackRock. That's happening now. As far as the athletes go, this has been going on for a while. It was always rumored that even with Michael Jordan's father's death, that it had something to do with his gambling addiction. So this has been going on. This is not a new problem, not something that the FBI needs to make this grand showing of, because it's happening. The
Yeah,
Sopranos
well,
even.
I think what happens here is that the FBI or the DOJ gets involved because this type criminality at this level, until such time as it becomes the social norm for everybody to participate in, then behind the scenes, there are people who are getting hurt. There are people who are losing assets. There are people who can't sleep at night and people who are being threatened. And their
But somebody,
families are being threatened. Their lives are being threatened. Their
But
livelihoods are going down the tubes. So somebody's got to stop in and say enough's enough.
I would challenge you by saying, well, how is that any different than what's going on in Las Vegas right now to this day? Even though
Well, there are people who are throwing away their life's treasure. I can see what you're saying. They're
run Las
throwing away their life's treasure. I've seen it with my own eyes in
the
Atlantic City many a
Vegas,
time.
even
But
though the
what
court,
I'm saying too is that when it's an underworld operation, an underworld operation. Let's take, for example, there's a certain singer who right now is indebted to Vegas because he owes them so much money. He has to perform for free. So this man has lost his freedom. He's lost his liberty to the underworld and to gangster and mafia operations, and that's not good.
hear me out. Hear me out.
That's the next thing to dealing with drug dealing.
Hear me out. Let me interject. So I'm familiar with that case you're talking about, and he is performing for free. My only counter to what you're saying is that it's not the gangsters that are making him do this. It's corporations. That, remember, the casinos are owned by major corporations. They're not owned by gangsters anymore. That era ended in the 1980s. When we come into the 1990s, the 1990s, the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, and up to now, these are corporations. So I mean, the tactics are the same, and that's what I was getting at. The tactics are the same, but whether it's the corporations or the gangsters, they still do the same thing.
Except the corporations don't break bones.
Oh,
They break they break bank accounts.
oh, yes, that still happens in Vegas. Get caught cheating in Vegas at a casino. Get caught.
Oh,
2025 still happens.
Hey,
well, I'm never gonna try that. I don't think so. If it's a 411, I don't think you're gonna do that, are you?
no, when I do go, I'll go in there to the what they call the man, what they call that place now? But it's like the little
They call it
sport.
the penny section.
No, I'm talking about the sports theaters. No, the sports theaters that are set up, and you can go in and watch all the games. They're set up like you're in the movie theater. There's nothing but games on, and you can go over to the side and you can place you some legal bets. That's about the most I'm gonna do when I go out to a casino. I might try to play roulette a little bit, and then I'm done. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm doing is what people like myself is doing is probably way less than what's going on here. And I just want to spin it back real quick because we were talking about. I think we are talking about. I think it's two different things. One is the underworld poker games, and then the other prong is the players, the people that are involved in the NBA, for this example, and we can use NFL and Major League Baseball and all that too, where you have the legal sports betting, where it is morphed into where most of the time, and Bruce can attest to this, like people are out here betting the over, the under on individual players, more so than the over and under of the games. And so that piece of it, where a Rozier, and it's all alleged till they have their day in court, when these guys can come out and personally change the outcome or give out information too soon, to where now the legal side of the betting companies are not able to put a line based on what really is going on. Because like if they know that
Rozier, and I'm not letting politicians off the hook. That's why I said it's almost the same deal.
Yeah, if
you get a politician that gets inside information on a stock.
Right.
I mean,
the same thing.
But that's what's scary about this, right? Well, you mold, all the personalized individual bets you can make. You merge that with what social media has become, and everybody's accessible, right? Mm-hmm. And now, I mean, I think you got a problem, right? When I can literally type in my phone and find somebody and DM something nasty if he misses, he doesn't get over or whatever. I could, threaten him right on an app, right? That's what's scary about this, right? And the other thing I want to point out is why doesn't it, for the NBA, for example, or some other league, try to regulate a little bit more? Like, excuse my language, who the fuck wants to bet on the third string running back for the Falcons? Why has everybody got to have a player prop? Put the big names out there. Put the high profile big names out there. Why do we need to bet on the 10th player on the Utah Jazz, whether they're gonna go over and under 1.5 assists, right? Or the third string tight end.
It's paying.
But we don't need that. You don't need that. If I was one of these leagues, that's the first thing I would target, is try to regulate. We don't need all these player prop bets. Take you a handful of the high profile players and take everybody else off. Because, being high profile like that and being in the spotlight, that gives you a little bit of protection. You're going to have you're going to have maybe afford some security around you. You're going to be a little bit more hard to get to. I don't need, for example, Damon Jones, when he was playing, I don't need to bet on Damon Jones. He was like a role player. So I mean, I would kind of, if I was the NBA, I would be looking into that aspect of it. Limit these player prop bets.
But you know what's going to happen there, Brooks? A lot of money is going to be lost, because
I know.
You know what I'm saying. So that's why we go out here and bet on any Joe Blow, and that's why you have a guy like Porter, who no one really talks about because he's really a guy that's on the very end of a bench. He's the one that tried it himself, but of course, all the pieces that was in place to catch this stuff, they are regulating it and they're catching it and catching these trends because they're set up to do that. But even a guy that nobody even knows who's out here trying to set up his games, now he's gone, right? But that's the issue. Is like you can do this. You can make bets on any player, but if you take that away, that's going to kill a lot of money because now you're shrinking the players that you can bet on, and then plus the ones that you would easily bet on, like say like a Giannis, right? If the over is 20 points, you pretty much know you're going to get 20 points if he's playing the whole game. So it takes away that too. So it's like it's a double-edged sword on that. You know what I mean?
But
yeah, but it gets real strange when a player is pulled out of the game for a certain period of time just to make sure he doesn't get that over or that under, and that's where it gets a little dicey, if I might use that term.
Dice, roll the dicey. All right, but yeah.
Part of the issue is that the NBA does, so what Brooks was saying, the NBA protects their main players, the star players, your Giannis, your Lucas, your LeBron. That's why you're seeing this proliferation of sports gambling and using the second and third tier players because they're easier to compromise, they're easier to get to because they don't have the barriers put up that the NBA does for their star players, or the NFL does for their star players, or MLB does for their star players.
Yeah,
these guys are easily accessible. People are not flocking to them like they would a LeBron, and they don't have the security like a Luka.
Right.
So get closer to them. So those players are the ones that you have to worry about being compromised first. Now,
more than anybody.
With the NBA credit, they do protect the star, but the NBA also has stake in betting too. They put their fingers on the scale as well.
A little bit of feedback to
yeah, you're getting feedback, Tony.
Corporate when you have corporations involved in the betting side and the underworld, you're gonna have one.
Yeah.
One is gonna win out over the other. Well, the corporations have is the backing of the federal government and the Department of Justice. So the NBA can go to the DOJ and say, "Hey, we know about this scandal already. We already know about this. This is going on. It's getting out of hand. We need you to step in." And as the federal government does for private corporate interests, they step in on behalf of those corporate interests, wipe that criminal underworld out, and it leaves the field wide open to get the legalized gambling, get the corporation.
And you know what, Tony, I agree with you 100%. I think that's a very strong point that you made. And yes, anytime the government see that money's being made under the table, they're going to pull it and set it on the table.
Of course.
Okay? Because they get a piece of this pie too.
Yeah.
When people win, they get big winnings and they get it so-called legally. Guess who's standing there with their hand up?
Right.
The IRS. Okay.
And that's
the IRS.
And that's why you have a lot of people doing stuff probably underboard to try to get around that.
Yeah, so Tony taking us down the right path on this point. And that I agree with. But the point I don't really accept is the fact that when these guys are putting their livelihoods on the line with the underworld, they're putting themselves in jeopardy. They're putting their lives and their families in jeopardy. And of course, I would hope that maybe they might be exonerated. Who knows? But then they may be convicted and become convicted felons and have to do time. And I hate to see that happen. But, is gambling legal in Georgia?
No.
No. No, it's not.
No, not sports gambling.
So, cause like for example,
so I can't do DraftKings or FanDuel or none of that stuff.
Not in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, it'll when you download the app and try to get your profile and you put in an address or what, it'll read your IP address or whatnot.
Yeah,
and it'll shut you down.
Yeah, because it says you're not in the right state for that. Now, if you was in New York, on your phone, boom, you're good. Yeah.
But according to what Tony is saying, down the line, this thing is going to become just corporate level, and it's going to be just thrown out there for the whole country and everybody in it.
Because
Eventually.
when you put a corporation behind gambling. Gambling is still going to be a vice. It is. But when
Right.
it's something, but just like in Vegas, it's something about when it's corporate ran and they got a corporation behind it. It seemed as less threatening and less harmful as it would be as if the criminal underworld was in it. Let's remember, the lottery itself is based off the underworld. That's the numbers. The modern lottery was based off the numbers. The numbers, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of illustrates this is there's a clip where ESPN First Take or whatever the morning show, I think it's First Take. They were talking about this and they had that ESPN bet bottom line, and when they started talking about it, they took the ESPN bet ticker off while they were talking about it.
Yeah. Because think about it, Brooks. Think about that, Brooks. Like the NFL, the NBA, all these, all the sports networks, the major letter networks and everything, they've incorporated the betting, the lines,
Oh yeah.
the overs, the under. All of that is just common conversation now. Once
Yep.
upon a time, all of that was taboo. And
Right.
I'm gonna go back to my sport, professional wrestling. Even professional wrestling, the wrestlers. If you said that wrestling was, and I'm gonna say the F word, because you're not supposed to say the 4-letter F word in front of a wrestler because they're supposed to protect it and they'll punch you in your face. And there's stories about that back in the days. If you use the F word, they have to rough you up because they have to protect the sport. And then you fast forward to the last 20 years, you know what I'm saying? They pulled the curtain back, changed it to E, right? Entertainment. So that it's sports and entertainment. So now they were able to get away from having to have like all the little sanctions from different states. The steroid testing is now off the board because it's no longer a sport, right?
Right.
It's entertainment. So
It's entertainment.
but once
So that kills a lot of the legitimacy.
Correct. And so when they pulled that curtain back for you, over the years now you have a 2 generations worth of people now that they only know it as entertainment, not as a sport once upon a time. So now a lot of things are pulled back. So a lot of things are kind of on easy street. Same thing with betting. Like it used to be a thing where you had to do all that stuff behind the scenes. It's all wide open. And now that's opening the doors and the floodgates for a lot of this stuff to really happen. Because think about your guy, Bijan Robinson, Sunday. The first thing I thought about was maybe he had a couple poker games that he lost because how did he dominate Buffalo one week and then the next week against the next to last defense against the rush, Miami at home, he lays an egg. He fumbles the ball. He's taking out of drives late in the game. And I got him on my fantasy team. I'm sitting here like, why is Robinson standing on the sideline for the last 2-3 drives for the Falcons? Maybe he owes some money. Maybe he was told to drop the ball and fumble it. You know what I'm saying? Against one of the worst teams in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the slippery slope as these stories come out.
Yeah.
You're the legitimacy of your league's going to get questioned on every little thing.
Right.
I've been on ever since it happened, I've been on like a Hawks group chat and like somebody miss an easy layup or something. I'll be like, he must have
like Michael Jordan missed that layup one time.
We see the memes of Cash Patel to each other. We're like, oh shit, he's next. Like, it's gonna happen. Like,
but just like Brooks, you said earlier too. This stuff, and even Tony said it. This is old stuff. Gambling.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But the mafia always had control of it.
Yeah.
The underworld always had control of the gambling apparatus.
Yeah.
And now it's coming back full circle where once it's starting to be levied out to the public. Yeah. And as Tony said, hey,
it's wide open.
Corporate America sees this and they see a fortune.
Oh yeah. This is the money machine. Okay. Sport.
It's gold in them there hills, and them betting.
Oh yeah.
And I remember how many people, maybe you guys aren't old enough, but did you ever see Muhammad Ali's first victory?
No.
When he first fought? Y'all don't remember that?
No. Not his first
he fought a guy named Sonny Liston.
Okay. Oh, I heard of Sonny Liston though. He was a beast, right?
Look it up.
He was a monster, right?
Sonny Sonny Liston was at that time, he was a formidable heavyweight.
Okay.
Couldn't nobody beat Sonny Liston. But Muhammad Ali, who then was Cassius Clay, got in the ring, and within seconds of the first round, he knocked out Sonny Liston.
Mm. Did it have your
And
eyebrows
you know what?
raising? It had you wondering?
Well, if you look at the video, I never saw the punch.
I know exactly. I've seen that. On ESPN Classic.
Yeah, I never saw the punch.
Wow.
But the man went down.
And he was, who would you compare Liston to in, like, like, I don't know, Tyson, Holmes, Wilder, like?
Oh, he was a mixture of everybody, man. Sonny Liston was the man. He was like the second coming of Joe Louis.
Okay.
I mean, he was a brawler. He could take a punch. He could knock a dude out. And inside the first round, Cassius Clay threw a couple of quick punches, and this man was stumbling and falling down.
That's it.
And the fight was over.
If I'm not mistaken, is that the photo where you got Ali standing over him like, get up?
Yeah.
That's one of the most iconic.
It was over.
Ali. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then,
So,
well, and then you have,
it makes you wonder.
yeah, and then you have like Tub mentioned the 1920s. You got the 1919 Black Sox, aka the Chicago White Sox, and you have that cheating scandal in the World Series. I mean, that's the ultimate matchup, the World Series. And so you have that. I mean, you just go all the way through history. And there are some examples that we have on here, and we just throw them up real quick because we, just want to make sure people understand that it happens across the sports world. What about the scandal with this guy? Shohei Ohtani. Yeah.
I'll say this: the NBA, because the players are just in your face, they don't have any equipment on, no helmets. There's only 5 on the court at once. They're more recognizable. And the NBA is they don't have the best reputation when it comes to gambling. You got Tim Donaghy. There's I forgot which draft it was, but there was alleged that the envelope was cold, so he knew which one to reach for. Was that the Patrick Ewing draft, or which
That was
one
the
it was?
85, the 85 draft for Ewing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the NBA is kind of got the worst reputation as far as gambling goes. And so because again,
And what about,
they're more recognizable. Not many people on the court at the same time. They're not wearing much as far as jerseys. They got tank tops, shorts. I mean,
yeah.
so,
And
this
the guy,
is the league that needs to get ahead of it more than any other league.
yeah. And even this coach here at Alabama, that he's no longer there, but he betted on his own team, and he was the head coach. You know what I'm saying? The head manager for the manager of the team. And like you mentioned earlier with Donaghy, as far as an official goes, and me and Brooks know this, we officiate basketball. He's come out, and obviously everybody knows his stories because he's already shared them, and he's done his time for that. So it, like we're saying, we're just letting people know that this stuff happens all the time. And here's Porter.
Well, let me ask you a question, Ms. 411.
Yeah, and then,
was he paid to do what he did, or did he place a bet in order to change the outcome?
he was.
Sometimes people get paid to do certain things.
Yeah, he was. Let's just put it this way: he was influenced to make some decisions. He was
just on a word, or was there money changing hands?
Well, I won't be able to speak totally on that, but I know he was influenced to make decisions. You get what I'm saying?
Influence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, the NBA has not handled these things very well. They did not. It's not like they got in front of it and had multiple press conferences talking about the Donaghy thing. They basically just banned him and just hush about it.
And said that it was him and not nobody else. But Donaghy said that there was several others. Yeah, he said there was more officials involved than just himself. But the NBA, David Stern back then, he just kind of shut it down and put it all on him and got him out of there so that this stuff can go away, at least die out. But, he's come back later and said that he wasn't the only one.
I mean, you can bet like live pitches in Major League Baseball. You can bet ball or strike on the next pitch.
Yeah.
Like, it reaches everybody. An umpire could easily get caught up in this.
Yeah, on
You know?
every
Yeah, but
pitch.
see, you got referees like Tony and Mr. 411. When they go out and referee a game,
Brooks and 411.
people gonna disagree sometimes with the call,
Yeah.
and they're gonna accuse them of what being compromised. Now, sometimes a person is accused falsely, and
Yeah, yeah, and I say it's probably more of a 90% plus that's
yeah,
not the case, but it doesn't matter when if you got any, that's too many. You know what I mean? And but
mhm.
that's what we deal with. Tub, I think Tub was trying to say something, but
Go ahead, Tom.
make sure your connection is working. Tub.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
So what you're seeing, we've gone past the era of them fixing whole games because it's too easy to get caught if you fix the entire game, the entire playoff series. So that's why they go to like the over unders and fixing little aspects of the game because a single referee can do that. A single player can do that. Oh, I got hurt on this play, which
Right.
allowed this to happen. So that's why that aspect came into the game. Used to be back in the day, it's just bidding on the whole game.
Right.
yeah. Win or lose, win or lose.
Right.
But
We're getting away from. Yeah.
yeah,
We're
we
getting away
take
from that.
now and
Mhm.
bet on those same players. This player is gonna get this. Player gonna get injured in this area. Those things like that are where the money is for the tech. And let's not forget, Michael Jordan was under investigation for gambling right at the time
Yeah,
he retired.
And what kind of gambling was that? We don't think he was doing it dealing with the game, do we? We think his gambling was his own
and
gambling, right?
golf,
On
It
the
was
side.
golf.
it's side gambling, not during
I
not
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
game.
mean, there's definitely conspiracy theories about why he went to play baseball for that year,
Yeah.
and
hey,
whether it was
hey.
gambling
Now
related
wait
or
a minute.
not.
Now wait a minute. Michael Jordan played in a game that the Bulls should have won, and he went to do a finger roll layup and missed it,
Uh
and they lost the game. And it was rumored that he did that on purpose.
well, I don't think he's done enough
When he
on
could
the
have
court
slammed
to
the
be
ball,
considered.
like everybody knows, he's a dunk
Yeah.
master. So why would he finger roll and miss that last shot? You know,
We
it,
have
it,
to
it left a question in my mind.
well, we have to look more in, but I think overall with Jordan, the way he played in the games, I wouldn't think he would do stuff in a game. Now, the stuff he did on the side, is a whole nother thing. Who he may have owed, you know what I'm saying? He may have owed some important people on the side, and it was probably best for him to step aside because of that. I mean, I'm just speculating, but
Well, his daddy was murdered,
yeah,
and it had something to do with the gambling.
It did.
right.
The
Okay.
The
problem,
off
hey,
the court gambling, the off the
it
court
did,
gambling.
but Jordan would never bet
What's
against
up,
his damn
Antoine?
self.
What's up,
Hey,
Antoine?
y'all, Tub, what's up?
Antoine.
411, Brooks. I don't know my
Freedom,
mother, man. I know
Freedom
Brooks.
Warrior.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hey, who we got on the set?
That's Antoine, Dad.
Oh,
Antoine.
that Mr. Jones.
That's
That's me.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Jones? What's going on?
All right. Okay. How you
I'm
doing?
all right. I didn't know that was your pops,
All
man.
right.
Hey,
All right. We keeping it moving.
okay,
uh,
yeah.
Good to see you.
he's the Freedom
Hey,
Warrior. All right.
Hey, okay, Freedom Warrior. But hey, one thing we would with anybody that's on here that's ever watched about 6 seconds of Michael Jordan, he would never bet against himself. So if it was betting, it was him betting that he could do something. You know what I'm saying? Not him,
Yeah.
not at least in my opinion, I would believe he would always bet on his ability to be able to do something. Not
Okay.
his, you know what I'm saying? Not his shortcomings on anything.
No, he would
Okay.
never.
Oh,
Jordan would,
sure.
but who's to say that Jordan didn't? I can score
90.
right.
Hey, Tub, we got to get you.
He come up off the gas.
Hey,
See,
Tub.
Jordan ability to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's one of the few people that probably had that had the craft in the game to be able to, like you say. I mean, we know he could score against anybody. Like you weren't gonna stop him from being able to do what he wanted to do as a basketball player. And so, but like I say, I'm just going off of what we know as Jordan, that ego that he had. I would just believe like he would just never bet against himself on something.
All right.
Mhm.
Well,
And that's just my take on that. That I would never believe, like, like if somebody said like, well, you can't score 68 in this game, he'd be like, yes I can. And
Mhm.
that was that, and like you
yeah.
say, but at the same time, um if it was something post what happened to his father, and that's what that's what your pops is referring to. Oh,
Right.
like I 100% believe that he would throw a game. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Or
agree.
or
Or
I
he would
understand
he
what you're
would
saying.
he would
or,
not throw a game, but he would or at least what we call shave points or whatever.
well, I
Yeah.
think he probably was put in a situation where where the league had to say, hey, in order for us to really keep everybody from nothing serious happening to him, and also keep the league straight, it might be best for
Mhm.
you to step out the picture for a minute. And that might
Right.
have been a compromise between the league and the mafia. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
might have been a
Yeah.
compromise. Get him out of here. Get him out the picture
Mhm.
for a minute. It could
Yeah.
have been anything. But
Yeah.
but but before we go too far
It's like the
off of that,
Godfather did with his son Michael, sent him to Sicily
yeah.
for a while.
But I want to get this from you guys too. Okay, I want to get this from you all. All
Uh-oh.
right.
Is that
Now,
LeBron in there?
no, not yet.
Oh.
But not yet. But let's look at these three gentlemen. Okay,
It
we're
needs
gonna
to
look.
be him in there.
Okay, so we got four elements that I want us all to go through. Right. The
All
first
right.
element are these three gentlemen here. The fourth is going to be the mafia. So with Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier. Okay, Rozier, what he's alleged that he's done is that he's basically, first of all, he gave away information that he's going to be injured without going with the proper channels, right? Letting the league do it. He's informed people that he hit the under, and then this is all alleged now. Is that after that all occurred and the people that he knew went on and made their bets, they all went somewhere and counted the money up, right?
Yep.
And
Mhm.
now with Damon Jones as being an I guess he was an assistant coach, unofficial assistant coach with the Lakers.
Yeah.
It's alleged that he provided information to people, right? He was
Mhm.
paid for it, allegedly, to provide information in advance, once again, before the league does their thing through the
Mhm.
legal bet channels to announce that LeBron's not playing. So bets are made and placed ahead of time, and they hit and win. And then with Billups, it was alleged that he did his thing as far as with the poker events. So that's
Right.
outside of the game. He was the face for poker scams. So out of these three gentlemen, y'all rank them as far as like the damaging out of these three. Which ones would you least have? One, two, three. One being the most damaged, and then go to three. And let's go with that, bro. What you got? One, two, three.
Well, like I said, the as far as severity goes, leaking information. The only kind of positive with sports betting being more and more in the spotlight. It's more popular now. It's legal. They're going to catch when you leak information and there's a suspicious bet on a random under or over on a player. They're going to catch these things, right?
Yep.
So I mean, not saying that that's not bad what they did. I'm just saying that's not going to move the scale a lot. And that's going to get caught more times than none with these sports books. They're too sophisticated. They got too much technology. They have algorithms. They have AI. They're not going to get away with those type of things. Uh, like I said, where's the money? Like, where's the money? Where's the mafia ties? That's what Chauncey Billups, right? That's where the money shit. That's scamming people out of money, right? You scam. There's different. You scamming the sports books. That's not gonna work out for you. Now you scamming other people, you know, out of big amounts of money, high rollers, that's gonna get you in trouble.
So that's your one.
Because yeah, Chauncey Billups was one. I mean, Terry Rozier. I mean, I'll put because he's a player, and he's leaking that information. He has more control.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put him 2, and the assistant coach or the unofficial. I'll put him 3. Because Terry Rozier obviously has more direct, player props. He knows all
Yeah,
his props. He can go
and he
look
can
at
take
them,
himself out.
and he has more control of it. So I put that as a second. And yeah, I put Damon Jones 3rd.
Okay, what about you, Freedom Warrior?
Okay, I agree. Number one, as far as severity and as far as being damaged here, Chauncey, what's his name, Billups?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, because I mean, this guy he dragged people into something that he perhaps gave them all the assurance that they had a chance to really make a lot of money, and they ended up losing a lot of money. And if you show what the mafia and he conspired on and were in cahoots on, you could see through the x-ray glasses and marked cards and all, that he knew all this in advance. He knew that what he was walking these people into. He knew it. And if you look at the cards, you could see the markings on the back. And Chauncey knew all this all this stuff was going on. And yet he still walked people whom he convinced and people who had confidence in him saying, okay, I'm going to go with you, Chauncey, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I'm going to make some money, right? And Chauncey, yeah, man, you're going to get it. Then all of a sudden, the guy walks out and he's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, in debt.
Man, that's
So
serious.
that's serious stuff.
All
I mean,
right,
if somebody did that to me, I'd be at their door too, going, "Hey, Chauncey, man, what's going on here?" And
So
this is what I said: by going into the illegal aspects of gambling,
okay,
it could be detrimental. Number 2, the guy who said, "I'm going to sit out the game, so I'm gonna give you your underwin." And the last
Rozier.
fellow, Mark Jones, I would say that, you know what, hey, look, so he just said, hey, the man ain't playing. And then everybody said, okay, he's not playing. So now you know how to bet.
All right, what about you, Tug?
I got a different take on it. I think it's in the order that it needs to be. Rozier, Jones, Pippen. And the reason why I say that is that we have a tendency not to look at how much money. We don't actually have a figure of how much money was lost due to Rozier and Jones action. The only reason we know about Chauncey Billups is because it's less people involved in it. You got to think nationwide. How many people lost money with what Rozier did? That's probably thousands of people and millions of dollars. As far as Chauncey Billups go, those games that he did cost people $7 million, but smaller. This is but as far as
Hey, Tug, we losing you a little bit, bro.
No, but I got his point. What he's saying is
Yeah,
that
I heard him.
Rozier and them, it was more widespread among the masses than it would be in a
Yeah,
gambling game.
I,
But
I mean,
the gravity is that when you look at it across the spectrum, not very many people sat down and lost $500,000, on what he did. But going with Billups, people sat down there and lost half of what they had in their 401k, even more, or what they had in retirement or in their bank accounts.
yeah. There's some people that lost 500 grand playing
Yeah.
those games. But
here's the thing. Those people had it to lose.
Some may
Now,
have, but they also had debts too.
We're dealing with wealthy people on that side. Now, I get what you're saying. Those were probably micro bets
yeah,
on Rozier. On the understand with Rozier. The total dollar amount was way more than what was lost with Chauncey Billups. It's just a smaller group, and it seems more personal to people.
Yeah, the aggregate, I get, but I'm just saying, in a one sitting, if a guy walks into a room, he's in a poker game thinking he's got a chance to win, his hands hot, and he throws in his cards, and all of a sudden the other guy at the other side and the table go, "Sorry, I got you." Boom,
Yep.
and he lose
Well,
$300,000-$400,000 in one whop.
so
How do you go home and tell your wife and your family, I just lost $500,000?
that's
You
right.
I
don't.
mean,
You don't.
But at the same time, that person chose to play underground poker, and the other people are playing
Yep.
above board fantasy sports betting or whatever you want to
Or
call it,
sports books. Yeah.
sports books.
Sports books. Yeah.
That's quote unquote above board, but it was not. So I mean, this is valid. I like that. I mean, it's all of our opinions here, and I'm glad that I see Tub had a different order.
Can I?
Antoine, what's your order?
Okay. So look, I'm gonna say, am I allowed just a small bit of leeway?
go ahead.
Well, we
Okay,
need
so
an order.
my small bit of leeway is one thing that we did not factor into this, and that we I kind of talked about this over the weekend.
Okay.
Gilbert Arenas, the effect that you are not going to tell me what transpired with Gilbert Arenas and what his connection was with these the like the small like the home betting games and the what I'm saying the unsanctioned betting.
Yeah.
You're not going to tell me that he did not have some connection with Chauncey Billups being what I'm saying, like with his name being brought up. If we and like I say, if giving me just a little bit of leeway, and I'll bring it home real quick. Let me go, and I'll bring it home real quick.
Hear me
Huh?
out. We got to say allegedly when we bring up Gilbert Arenas. We got to say allegedly because Gilbert Arenas will slip.
Because he walked away. Yeah.
So
And you know why he walked away? Have y'all watched first 48? If you tell on the mother father, if you start talking, they when you know, I'm just saying, like with
No, I'm
anything
just saying,
with
don't forget to give me a 3 in the order.
okay, and okay, so the three. I got a small bit of a different take on that.
Okay.
I think Damon, if we're talking about basketball right now, because the one person that is closely linked with Damon Jones is LeBron James, and he is more than LeBron James's name is worth more than anything that's going above
Ooh.
Chauncey Billups and these other guys. At least to me,
Yeah.
LeBron James's name has. If you are starting to talk about LeBron James and anything illegal, anything that is below the board, anything that is not uh, on board, because what has he been? He has his whole thing is like he's been better than Jordan because he's always been the good guy. He has always been above board on everything that he has going associated with his name. That is one thing that he for LeBron, he has not been associated with anything bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So regardless of how his name starts getting connected to it, it starts a trail. And then me and 411 talked about this last night. Maverick Carter came out and said, "Hey, I did some stuff, and did all this stuff." Okay, but he is connected with LeBron James, and so with me, it's LeBron James, Chauncey Billups, and Rozier. And I say that with LeBron James simply because he is the biggest name. You understand? He's the
So
biggest
you're
name,
saying, so you're saying his
and
name is tied to Damon Jones.
Allegedly.
right now his
Allegedly.
name is tied to Damon
Allegedly.
Jones.
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, y'all. Hey, look here. We can talk all that
Hey,
crazy
look.
shit we want to.
No, but
Well, my bad about
we gotta
cussing.
stay in the
Yeah.
neutral zone and the safe
Yeah.
zone.
Well, I, Mr. J, I'm not being neutral. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying what I think, and I just tell you what I think, and I could be wrong.
And you know what?
Like hey,
Look, I want
hey,
to bring up
hey,
LeBron's
We
name
we
earlier, but
we're
I didn't
hey,
know
we
under
are
what context to
we
do it.
hey,
well we
hey,
are.
Jay Z.
I want Antoine to finish his point so we can go to that.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
and I'll get that part out of the way. Jay Z told you right or wrong. That's just what I was feeling at the time. Go back and
Okay.
listen to that. So, again, uh, the if we're like I say, if we're looking at the possibility of everything that comes out, LeBron James's name being tied to anything that is not above board trumps anything that goes on to me below any of these other ones. Chauncey Billups, uh, whatever it is, Chauncey Billups also had the reputation and the whatever about him being known. He was always like a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a
Yeah.
good person. He's this and that. But the only thing about what he's doing, it ties back into the Gilbert Arenas part of it. And we don't know this and we don't know that. Again, uh,
Also, and I want to say this real quick for everybody. But Chauncey's also in alleged of some situations
that
as a head coach.
yes.
Uh, and there, I
Oh,
think it was a game against Chicago that they're kind of narrowing it down to where he didn't play certain players. I think it was Damon Lillard at the time that he purposely didn't play him.
and you know,
That
I'm sorry.
tied to an under and over as well.
And you know what, 401, the one thing we do have to look back about Chauncey Billups is his time in the NBA. And I did not know he was a head coach since 2021. So he's been a head coach. You
Well,
know,
you
it
did.
wasn't
You
just
just
like
didn't
he
watch
got
Portland.
hired. Huh?
You knew that, but you didn't watch Portland. He was there for a while.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Nobody
hey,
was
well, yeah.
watching Portland.
Yeah. Well, hey, you educating me on that. But my thing is like, again, the biggest, like I say, to me, the biggest possible impact would be anything that has to go with LeBron James, and then second is Chauncey Billups, and like you say with Rozier, I think
Okay.
I think his is the one that's on the smaller scale that would have had anything to do with anything because, like you say, it's him doing things, you know, blase. But again, my only thing about Chauncey Billups is his association with Gilbert Arenas. And I'm telling y'all, I got arrested. I don't know if any of y'all been arrested. I was in damn jail longer on some stuff I didn't do than damn Gilbert Arenas was on some shit they charged him. And it was way worse. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That
And
was
we'll,
way worse. I was
and we'll
down there.
have
It took me longer. It took me longer to get a bail than damn Gilbert Arenas did. He walked in there, and then
and
10 minutes later, his ass walking out the front of the gate saying, "Let's go get
well,
something to eat."
he figured a way out, and
Yeah, because he talks.
Yeah.
He was telling.
Oh,
He
I'm
told
glad
it.
you said that. I'm glad you said that. That
Hey,
brings up a point that I just want to stress before we move on.
yeah,
The
because we got to move.
DOJ tends to grab people like the little songbirds because guess what? They want the bigger fish.
Yes, sir.
Okay? They want the big
Yeah,
fish.
that want the biggest one they can get. Yes, sir.
They want the big fish. And if you don't think Billups, Jones, and Rozier, if they listening to 20 to 30 years in prison,
Yeah,
talk. They gonna
yeah.
talk, sing like songbirds.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and
You're
here we
right,
go, guys.
You're
And
right,
here we
Mr.
go
J.
here too. We don't want to only just talk about those guys, right? We
Yeah.
want to bring up the Mafia, and there's some names and whatever is listed in this on this doc. I'm not trying to call any individual people out, but not. What are your thoughts on any of that? Like, it's not just these the athletes here at the top here,
Right.
that's being talked about. It's
Hey,
a lot of layers within that. So let's talk about that. Should that be
Mhm.
talked about more
I,
across the board in the media?
hey, I'll say my 2 cents and get out the way real quick. I'll say my 2 cents
Because
and
I
get
think
out the
Phil's
way.
trying to say
All
something
right.
there. Yeah.
No, I'll just say mine. Have we seen anybody that's listed here? Have we seen a picture of them?
We
Nope.
have not.
We saw Chauncey Billups' face plastered. We haven't seen if any of these people have if they're marked there, then they have an arrest record. They got a mug shot. I got a mug shot. Show me their mug shot.
All
You
right.
ain't you haven't
Hey,
seen any mugshot of these guys, and that's
even
my
Trump got a mugshot.
yeah,
Antoine,
yes sir.
they got so many shots of these guys. It's not even funny. These guys have criminal histories going back 30 years plus.
But they ain't showed none of them, Tub.
That's my whole point. We've made the athletes the face of this, like they were the mastermind.
Yes, yeah,
And behind
I believe. Yeah,
criminal organization that involves all, not one crime family, all five of the major crime families. They have
yes.
arrested from all five major crime families that were involved in this.
Okay.
That's the part that I don't like, because back in the 80s, back in the 90s, the era, we rolled mobsters out and plastered the mobsters all on TV. We knew who
On
was
their
up
faces, exactly.
everywhere.
But
Now we're hiding. We're in an era where they're hiding the actual criminals and making the passage the front people for the criminality. I have an issue with that.
Well, you know
The
what? You might
only
have an issue with it, but the crime families own a lot of politicians. They own a lot of judges. They own a lot of lawyers and attorney generals and so forth and so on. So there you go.
hey y'all, hey,
Brooks,
another thing, and I know Brooks
I
hadn't
gotta
thrown
let
his two
Brooks
cents
talk.
in,
Yeah.
but
Albanian Joe was my favorite name. That's a great name. Um,
Yeah.
no, I mean we're in an age of, I'll throw this angle out there. We're in an age of media saturation, right? There's so much media out there. There's social media accounts, there are cable news networks that are dying and wanting ratings. So I mean, there's going to be angles for this. They're going to do whatever angle
get down.
they think is going to get them the most views, right? The most clicks or whatnot. And that angle is obviously the connection to the NBA. So I mean that's just the fact. Like I agree with you. They need to maybe in more of the local, maybe in where these crime families are reside in. Maybe the local media plastered their pictures, but the national media. That's just not the angle they were going to go with. Because again, in these days, it's just you know where everybody's cord cutting and getting their news in shorter bursts. They're going to try to they're going to try to attract people. They're going to try to spin it into the way that attracts the most viewers. So, I mean, that's not surprising. And not saying that there may be a racial side to it. But I'm just saying that's not surprising to me as somebody who kind of pays attention to that kind of thing. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast right now. So,
Well, the
And you
nature of
know what?
human.
You're absolutely right
Mhm.
about that, because, like you say, if we threw the picture of any of these guys, any of these 4 or 5 people that are listed here, if you threw that picture up, the average person, or
Ain't gonna know who they are.
being associated with sports, like nobody would know that, but like the average player or the average sports fan that watch basketball automatically knows who Chauncey Billups is. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're correct in that. Like you said, the thing that's going to get the most views and the most I guess the biggest impact, if for the for the money, for the your biggest bang for your buck. Yeah, Chauncey Billups is that, but we also know that like come on, man, Chauncey Billups, like when
And,
you start talking mafia, like come on, man,
and
it's
Antoine,
it's it's a
and
whole
Antoine,
different thing. Yes,
and
sir.
Antoine, and before I pass it to Freedom Warrior, because we gotta get him to chime in on this too. What you and Brooks were just saying, I also it made me think about something. It's like like, and I'm using the sports for this. How many times does these sports networks talk about the Lakers or the Cowboys or the Yankees before they talk
see,
about OKC who just won a championship? You know what I'm saying? So they're
s-
gonna talk about what they know that people are gonna gravitate to. They're gonna push
s-
that out there in the front. And man, the
Yeah,
FBI is gonna do the same thing.
s-
They're gonna push
s-
out in the front what they want
s-
people to dive into.
yeah,
after that
absolutely.
before CNN was prepping to take that press conference that you see pictured here, they brought on their sports analyst from Bleacher Report, Coy Wire, to give a background not of who the basketball players are, who Chauncey Billups is, who Damon Jones is, who Terry Rozier is. They did a whole setting like a 15-minute segment talking about their careers.
Yeah.
I mean, and not not one mention, like you said, of these crime families who probably have as much history, that goes back
More.
decades and
More.
decades. They
Yeah.
brought on Toy Wire for 15 minutes talking about those three players and their accolades. It was
Yeah.
incredible.
And
Freedom, you got
again, like
something?
you say Chauncey Billups is the biggest name out of that. Damon, if it was just Damon Jones and Terry Rozier, if
Yeah.
you ain't watched, you would not know them jokers from them. You would again if you pulled up a picture of Damon Jones, it's gonna be hard for me to remember which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know Terry Rozier is because, like you say, I done watched about 15 minutes worth of basketball.
Yeah.
And Brooks, you are absolutely right. It is about the one thing we've learned about the media. They love to direct. Um, you know what I'm saying?
They're gonna put it. They're gonna point it in that
Whoever is
direction
in
where they want it to
charge,
go. Yeah.
yeah, whoever is in charge wants those people are being told
Okay.
a direction that they want to go.
All right. It's time for Freedom Warrior. What you got?
Well, I just want to say that I think that we have to just kind of sit back and wait and see where this goes, how it resolves itself. I really think that these guys have they been indicted? Do we
No,
know
sir.
have they been indicted? They haven't
Nope.
been indicted.
No, sir.
So so right now they're just accused of
Accused. Yeah.
yeah they haven't been
Yeah.
indicted or
No.
anything
No.
by a
Yeah.
grand jury.
Nobody's been
Yeah,
like, hey, you've been arrested
yeah.
for this.
Right.
All right.
They have been indicted.
Right. The athletes have not been indicted. Only the mobsters.
Okay.
There you go. There you
All
go.
right. So I mean, I think they're looking for the bigger fish, and that's what I'm thinking. You know,
Yeah.
the DOJ is after the big guys. They're not after these fellas. I mean, but these fellas are the ones who can lead them to the big guys. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And that's what
Yes,
I
sir.
think that this is all about. And I just hope and pray that LeBron James is not connected to this thing in any way, shape, or form. Because it would definitely be damaging to the whole NBA if somehow they can connect him in some kind of way and try to,
But and
involve him.
you know what, freedom. What will happen? I guarantee you, what will happen if it's anything, and we've seen this. We've seen what football will do. You know, if we go back to if we go back to the Patriots and everything that they were doing, the NFL said, "Hey, we found this information, but it wasn't anything, so we destroyed it." You know what I'm saying? Like, well, if it wasn't anything, why the hell didn't y'all show the people? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So anything that is associated with LeBron, if it has any kind of traction, or anything that might be um even a small bit of a pliable thing,
Mhm.
we will know because LeBron James will retire this year. He will after this, the first time he's been hurt and not played and all these things, and hey, Father Time is catching up with him. If he walks away from the game this year, then I mean, what I'm saying, like we might, I'm a person that I'm a realist, man. I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like if you didn't do nothing, then you stand on that. You'll stand on like the fact I didn't do nothing. You
Mhm.
find something, you tell me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Well,
But if it's like I said, if it has any kind of traction, if it's Rich Paul, if it's somebody associated with him,
Mhm.
then
well,
then
well,
and like I say, this is just my personal opinion.
yeah.
Away from the game, he would rather walk away and get his, grab his flowers and everything and walk away, and they'll be like, you know what, we'll be quiet.
Well,
Well,
to this point,
Because
no one has
the
been
one thing
found
that
guilty.
LeBron has done
well,
is tried to build his
Empire.
legacy
Mhm.
on being better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a better person. I'm a better athlete. If it's something that is a detrimental thing to him, he has to walk away. And
Well,
I'm on that.
Antoine,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and Antoine, real quick, just jumping off of that, like Chauncey Billups he walked out one day with the Clutch sports sweatshirt on.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and,
Yes,
and then
sir.
you mentioned Damon Jones, and so the player that is alleged that he was tipping the information about was LeBron James.
Yes,
So
sir.
so there will have to be a day, or more than likely be a day, where somebody's going to interrogate Damon and ask him, who were you referring to, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get to that point.
Of
And then
course,
at that point, we will get our answer, whether he was involved or not, and maybe some other things. He may not have even known about it. We don't know.
right.
But
Exactly.
sometimes the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, but at this point in time, no one has been found guilty of anything.
Correct. So
It's
right now,
all accusations.
it might be a lot of people walking away from this at some point.
Unscathed.
Yeah.
And you know
And,
what?
and like
The
and like
media.
Cub just said, like there's only been what you say, the only people that have been indicted about this whole thing is the mafia people. Like there had, Jones, Rozier,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Billups.
Even Billups. Like
Yeah.
none of
They
these
also.
guys have been, like, hey, you're under arrest,
Yeah.
go through that. And
They
so,
all can find a way out of this thing.
yeah, and I just, and again, I just want to tell y'all, again, it's some hateful information that I have. But if once you start going through like the legal process and the things that are legal things, it is a whole different ball game than the stuff that you see that gets put out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole different. It's different. It is.
Well,
It
yeah.
is
And
absolutely different than just what you see on TV, because
right.
the
411.
legalities,
Yeah.
legalities of things are different
Did you
than.
say?
Yeah. Yeah. Mr.
Okay.
411, what was that you put up about Kevin Garnett? It kind of went
Okay.
by
So
some things.
let me mention that. Okay, gentlemen. All
Yeah.
right. So KG, Kevin Garnett was one gentleman that was, again, all this is alleged until we get more info.
Right.
I mean, real info. But he's one of the guys that was in at one of those poker nights that quote unquote Billups was involved in, or one of those nights. And then so Ty Lue was also Ty Lue, head coach of the Clippers. He also was a gentleman involved too in one of the poker night. Not involved like as a person that's behind the scenes and
As a
scheming, but
conspirator, right.
as a participant in the poker nights. And so was
Because
Kevin Garnett.
he was
And
fished in to lose money.
yeah, I think these guys were alleged to be a part of those games. So, like, and you got to understand, Billups is a contemporary of Garnett. They played in the same era. They played against each other. And then Ty Lue, not only was he a player for a long time, but he actually had Billups as an assistant coach with the LA Clippers. Because another thing about Chauncey Billups, and I'll share this with y'all, he also after his playing days, he did the color analyst work for the Clippers. You know what I'm saying? All the NBA teams have people that do the networks every night, do the games, local, or follow them every night. And Billups was working for the Clippers doing like how the guys do on the national broadcast of games. He did that for the Clippers every night for a while. And he also was assistant with Ty Lue on the staff. And then he went on to be a head coach. So like there's some ties back to all that. And that goes back to being used as a fish. So now here's another big one. I don't know if we got Tubbs still here, but we got enough guys here to talk about it. The NCAA already approved this, and it's supposed to go through officially, I believe, November 1st. So in a couple of days, they are going to allow the student athletes to bet on professional sports games. Man, what do y'all think about this? I mean, this and how this can tie into all this mess.
I mean,
I think it's a bad precedence.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA is a joke of an organization to start off with. I mean,
I think it sets a bad precedent.
Yeah.
I mean, just think, this is coming to a time where now athletes can legally get paid millions, right? And now you're going to let them bet on pro sports? I mean, at least say you can't bet on the pro sport that you're playing. Like you can't. College football players shouldn't be allowed to bet an NFL game because some of them going to go to the NFL. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, at least have some regulation. Like I don't care if
Well,
at least you can say, okay, these football players are betting basketball. Okay, but I mean, you let the football players bet pro football with some going to the league. Man, it's just a bad look.
Yeah.
well,
All right.
here's what's a bad look, and it started when they started paying these college athletes. I think that's the worst thing that ever happened to college football, because now you got these prima donnas running around on these teams, and some guys are just playing for books and pencils and a dorm room and some food to eat. And you got one or two guys on a team that's already looking at buying a Lamborghini. It makes no sense to me, and I think it's totally wrong. It ruins the spirit of the game. And then now you're going to talk about letting them gamble. They'll
And
be
they're
out
gonna
on
have
the
more money
field
to gamble
playing,
with.
not worrying about whether or not they're going to win the game. They're worrying about if the team they bet on is going to win the game.
And they got more money to bet with. Like some of these guys will
It's
get these millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's a terrible move. It's taking all sports down to the gates of hell in the handbasket. And these commissioners that we've got in there now, these guys are weak. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And let's go to the NFL quickly, Mr. 411, with the halftime show for the Super Bowl. Do
But
you
we're gonna
have
talk
that
about that
picture?
and we're
Huh?
gonna talk about that on your show tomorrow.
I know, but I just want to say, well, tonight too. I'm just gonna preempt my show on that. And they bringing in this Bad Bunny
tease.
dude, a Bad Bunny. What in the hell's going on with the NFL, man?
well, we definitely gonna dive into that tomorrow on the
All the
Freedom
good
Warriors show.
talent that's in this
You know
country.
what? You know what? You know what, Pop Jones? I would say to venture to say that you probably the line of demarcation for the difference in what you know what I'm saying? Like and just really that the mentality of sports in general, just the way that sports are perceived. And the rest of us, I think, like the rest of us that are on this call are like right behind.
Hey
Like
Twan,
you, yes,
hey,
sir.
I ain't mean to cut you off, but I want you to give me don't forget to give me your thoughts on that NCAA. Like what you think
Oh,
about that?
I'm totally
Okay.
like this is horrible. It is
Mhm.
it is not the line that you see. It is always the thing beyond. When
Hmm.
when when we used to go take pictures at Olin Mills, the man would say,
Mhm.
he would be like, look at the birdie. They want you to look at something over here so that they
Yeah.
can distract you to get you to do what they want to do in front of
Ah,
you. And
okay.
to me, that is what this is. If you allow again, uh, like what Brooks and Pop was saying, you now have people that have millions of dollars that are allowed to bet on any kind of sport that they want to. Guess what? If TJ, me and you were roommates at Michigan last year, right? I made the draft, and guess what? You may or may not make the draft next year, but guess what? Hey, TJ, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, get
Yeah.
what? Look, I know that
You
I
gonna
know
fumble next week?
hey, I know yeah. Hey, look, man, in the third quarter, I'm gonna drop that thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
gonna drop that thing in the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? We might be up, but we might be down. But get what? In the third quarter, I'm gonna drop that thing. You know what I'm saying? And so get what?
Hmm.
And again, like when you are looking at the minutia of betting, when it starts to be a widespread thing, it is one thing because like we know bettors can change the line. If a bettor comes in and says, "Hey, I want to put $20 million on a half a point," guess what? That
Yep.
shit will change something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like
sir.
Yeah.
so, we know
Yes, sir.
we know uh betting
Highly
can be
influenced.
influenced, but once you start, like I say, just with an individual, and you think about it, how many NCAA, like all sports. You know what I'm saying? Like you're saying, college football, baseball, basketball, soccer,
Yep.
lacrosse, swimming,
Yep.
diving, golf. You know what I'm saying? Anything, anybody that is a college athlete can come in and bet on a professional sport and say like, I can put money on this. Man,
Yeah.
hell no. Like I mean, Brooks was saying that. I say no. Like this crap is horrible because now
Yeah.
you are giving other people outlets to be able to use these athletes. And I'm gonna get off it real quick, but just say I'm a student at Alabama State, right? I'm a
Yep.
I'm the third string linebacker. I'm a junior third string linebacker at Alabama State. And 15 years ago, I went to Alabama State, but I'm a pro football player. Or I'm a pro hedge fund guy. And guess what? I wanted, hey, Antoine. I know you're struggling right now, big dog. You know what I'm saying? I know you're struggling. Guess what? I'm gonna give you $400,000. But look, I want you to make this bet on the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're too close to it. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
how many of these big universities
Yeah.
have major players been their bye weeks come and be on the sidelines, probably talk to the team during
Right.
halftime or
yes,
before. I mean, they're too close to these. They're too close. Like
Yeah.
they are
they're gonna come in
absolutely
contact.
if they're too close.
You telling me none of these players are gonna come in contact with some famous alumni who are in the NFL right now? They're
Yeah.
going
Alumni,
to. It's gonna happen.
roommates. Brooks,
I
if
mean,
Yeah.
me and you are roommates, if me and you are roommates, and we got to the University of Louisville at the same time, right? And then like, hey, by the time I'm a junior, right? I'm like first round draft pick. Now, hey, you got hurt 3 times and like blase, but you just gonna be at Louisville and you're gonna finish your time out. But now I'm a person that has multi-million dollars that's going on. And I could be like, hey, Brooks, shit, I play for the Falcons, man. Like next week we playing
Yep.
we playing Carolina. Hey, I already know Tyrone, our quarterback, man, they gonna pull him. He gonna be hurt, so he ain't gonna get to play. And
So
then I'm just like you say, it's
no,
just too the
yeah, the
people
could be
are
example
too
you
something.
close.
giving, yeah, the
It could be so
example you giving
simple.
that
Somebody
It's
could
too
be
many
that's great.
scenarios where you can, yeah, it's
famous
just
alumni could be on the sideline. Maybe he got a spray ankle. Hey man, when you gonna be back on the field? Something
yeah,
that simple. And now he's
Yeah.
got inside information,
yeah,
Yep.
and
and,
he
and,
just
it- and
he could
yeah,
just
and it not
casually
be
ask.
Yeah, and it not be anything intentional. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, like for real. I mean, and I know I'm being loud and I'm talking, but like you say at Louisville, uh,
But
say the line. I'm just saying, and people don't understand that stuff about betting is absolutely about points. If Baltimore comes in, like okay, Baltimore goes in and hey, Lamar isn't going to play. This week, hey, he got a bye. He's going to sit. And then next week, and then they come and play Tennessee, right? But
yeah.
but let's just say Lamar really isn't going to damn play. The line is going to be different when the NFL announces that Lamar isn't going to play as opposed
Correct.
to when they go. So like it may be 12 and a half points or whatever, then it drops down to 9.5. If I bet
Right.
a stack of money on these damn 12 points, then guess what? You can make a crap ton of
Assuming.
money off of
Right.
betting, man. And
You're
so
right.
And that's the danger of all this, and that's why
Yeah.
that's why I'm glad we brought this up about the NCAA, because see, now that's crossing into another path. Is bringing
Right.
like you guys said, it's going to be tying people together. The amateurs that are here now, well, quote unquote, they're no longer amateurs, but the non-professional
there you
NFL
go.
level players or NBA level
It's
Non-professional.
players,
That's
it's
what they
it's
got.
they
it's
got they're
creating a
tied into
gambling
now.
culture.
They're bringing the coaches in, and they're intertwining it, and really they're setting themselves up for something really big to go sideways down the
Yeah, because
line
it's
in a couple of
creating a
years.
gambling culture within the sport.
Yeah,
You're bringing up
Hey,
these little junior flips who hadn't even proven themselves, and only 1% of these college guys making in the pros any
the
damn
pros
way.
anyway. Exactly.
Right.
And you know what? And I'm gonna tell y'all this the same way. When they allow professional teams to come into Las Vegas, that is when the bet that we could you could probably get somebody to show you a study of how things changed at that particular point. I don't care which one it was or
Yeah.
who it was, but the first team that was allowed to be a professional team in Las Vegas, it changed, and everybody was like, "No, you can't have a professional team in Las Vegas because it's tied to the mob." Everybody always knew that everything
Now
with gambling was tied to the mob. This wasn't
and
some,
now
you know what
and
I'm
now
saying?
it's
Like,
a
this
regular
wasn't some
thing.
kind of secret, you know what I'm saying? Like, we knew this.
Right. Right. And that
It's so,
and don't forget NCAA is tied to the mob too.
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
they're just blurring the line. There's a lot of conflicts of interest. They're letting gambling be too intertwined. I mean, consider like something simple as Tom Brady owns owns a stake in the Raiders and gets to call their games. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, something so simple as
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
It's insane.
why are you letting him call Raiders games?
Well,
He has an
Mr.
order.
Brooks, Mr. Brooks,
Hey, Brooks, and
Mr. Brooks.
look, Brooks,
Oh, oh,
on ESPN, if Kirk Herbstreit calls a game, they won't even let him give his opinion about a damn game that he's calling.
Yeah, he can.
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like he has abstained himself from,
Hey,
like, if he's calling Ohio State
hey,
against Michigan, he can't even
yeah.
make a pick.
Well,
Okay.
what
So what
happened
you have?
Sunday? What happened Sunday was a travesty. You had the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm driving up to Atlanta on Sunday. Everybody's headed out there to tailgate, have a great time because the Falcons are home and they're playing a 1-6 team, expected to just run all over this team.
Oh,
And you know what the betting odds probably were on that game.
Yes,
And
sir.
the Atlanta Falcons laid a steak bomb.
Ostrich egg. It
And
wasn't a goose egg. The biggest egg
it
that
was
we
a
know is an
bomb.
ostrich egg, and that's what the hell
So
they did.
and who won? Somebody won big money off of that deal, man. I'm here to tell you.
I lost. Hey,
well,
If
you know what?
anybody who took Miami, oh man,
Mr.
yeah.
Jones, I lost a lot of money because I was betting on some of these sorry asses to get stacks. I wasn't
All
even
right.
betting on them to win. I
All
was
right,
just betting on them to get stats.
Antoine, you got Brooks on here, man. You really cutting deep now. You cutting deep on
but
Brooks,
I'm
man.
just,
No,
I'm,
no,
I'm
but
not, I'm not,
no,
I'm not
On
down
the
in the
hey,
Falcons.
no,
I'm
I know
just
Brooks is
saying.
a Falcons. I'm a Falcons fan. I absolutely, bro. I spent $250 to go up there and watch that bullshit. I know we ain't supposed to cuss on here. I know we're not supposed to cuss on here, but I spent $250 to go watch that. And I'm just telling y'all, no,
Yeah,
I'm just telling y'all,
yeah,
when you spend that kind of money, and like you say, we're thinking, hey, we here, this is our game. We went and
Yeah,
hey, we lost to San Francisco, but look, we beat Buffalo, up, and look, we
yeah.
at home. The Dolphins
Hey,
are 1-5. Hey man, it's finna be the Bijan show. It's finna be
yeah.
it's hey look, and I have my own theory about the game with Cousins too. And if you get, I was
we,
thinking, I was thinking like Cousins was gonna get out there and throw for about 300 yards so he could get his ass off of Atlanta's books, so that somebody, like maybe Cleveland or like somebody
somebody
that
that
needed
need
a quarter. Yeah,
Cincinnati,
somebody that
somebody that
needed
need
a
one.
quarterback would be like, hey, Atlanta, we'll split the cost with you just to get him off your
Well,
book.
that ain't happening. That's
Yeah.
not
Hell no,
happening.
it ain't happening because he looked like
Washed, man.
he he looked like one of us out there damn being quarterback. This shit was horrible, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well,
so that
point is, somebody made
yeah
a lot of money off of that game Sunday.
Yes, they
yeah.
did.
All
It's
right.
into, when you get into this, another thing is going to start. It's already affecting is these injury reports, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How you know the Falcons all week they were just like, Phoenix maybe. I mean,
Maybe
and that
maybe. And then he didn't
Yes.
play.
and
Until
that
like
that
what? Thursday
influences
or Friday?
the line, right? Pitt was
Yes.
playing, and I mean stuff like that. There was scrutiny for the Ravens. Apparently, there was some questions about. They said Lamar Jackson participated in practice, and maybe he didn't. Like things like that are going to come into the spotlight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what you're allowing when you get so intertwined with the sports betting. You're going to put a scrutiny on things like injury reports, when are you reporting injuries. If
And
you
when,
pull somebody
thank
out
you.
last minute, that's going to look like maybe somebody, and maybe it does that. Maybe somebody tweaks something during warm-ups, but you do that, and the alarm bells are going to go off
Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
when
Brooks.
something like that happens.
Hey, Brooks. Even when you do your fantasy reports. Like on the, I know, and like I say, this is just Yahoo. When a guy goes from healthy to questionable, questionable to out, questionable to doubtful. Like as soon as they get that information, that shit pops up on like your little fantasy thing. And like you say, when you are betting money, and it is, I mean, like you say, all it can be is a point. All you like is like if it's 3.4, and then it comes down to like, or I mean 3.5, and it goes down to like 1.5 or 2 point. Like, dude, those are millions and millions of dollars that sway one way or the other.
Yeah.
And like you say, how you report these things, um, when
Well,
you report them,
yeah,
it is a big deal.
well,
Yeah.
and it is, and they have a system in place that does all this stuff. The issue is when you have people that disrupt it, and that's where we're at now, where the disruption is in there. Well, it's always kind of been there, but now like we're really seeing this. Like this is where the scary part is, and how do you keep that integrity? Like how do you keep it where
Thank
you
you.
believe that what's going on is going on, and so that's where we at. But man, we covered a
Mhm.
whole lot tonight, people.
We
I
sure
know
Um,
you
did.
got.
That's
I know you
411.
got to get off, but hey,
yeah, we gotta.
411. The biggest word that you just used that covers everything is integrity. If you don't
Yep.
believe in something, if you believe something is rigged, or if you have a
Yeah,
belief that something will not be fair, then you can't believe it, or at
yeah,
least in my facet, you shouldn't believe it.
right.
Well,
And that
I'd
leads
like
me
to
to
say
this,
goodnight,
Joe.
Mr. 411. I'm going to have to check out of the net, but I would like to say before we go, remember these
Yeah.
guys have not been found guilty of anything yet.
Not yet.
Now,
Hey,
yeah,
We're going to
but if
wait
you
and
want
see
to hang
what's
in,
coming down the pike.
or
but
even
Freedom Warrior,
accused, or even
Freedom Warrior,
officially accused.
Freedom Warrior.
Yes. And
You
yes.
don't have to leave just yet because we're closing out right now. I want to
Okay.
thank everybody for being on. I'd like to thank Antoine for jumping in there, Freedom Warrior, Hot Tub Tony, and Brooks the Showcase for joining tonight. Don't forget tomorrow. All right, 7:05 p.m. Freedom Warrior show. Freedom Warrior will be in the house. He's going to be hosting, and he's got some sports ties into his show tomorrow. The New York Knicks will be involved in that conversation. Bad Bunny and the NFL will be involved in that conversation. Stephen
Send
A.
me a
Smith,
link. Send me the link. Send me the
Out
link.
with the
Send me the
bad
link.
buddy.
Steve, Stephen A. Smith will be involved in that conversation. The New York mayor race will be brought up, and also what is it? The
Oh,
Virginia
the
or
government shut down.
the government shutdown will be brought up as well. So
Oh,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
so make sure you
Hurting a
like,
lot of people.
subscribe, hit the
Oh,
notification bell. Make sure you share because sharing is caring. 401 Sports World Network on YouTube. If you
Pop Jones
subscribe
ain't
there, the
scared to
show
be
will pop up.
controversial. Hey, I like that. He ain't scared to hit the topics. I like that.
All right,
We're
so we'll
going
see you there
after it,
tomorrow.
baby. We're going after
AB,
it.
and AB, you'll get the link. You'll get that
All
link
right.
tomorrow. And
Okay.
Brooks, and you
Yeah.
never know. Brooks the
Go
Showcase
Eagles.
and Brooks the
Go
Showcase
Eagles.
is also involved with our politics and everything. So you may even see Brooks tomorrow as well. All right,
Hey, man,
everybody have a good one.
Go Eagles. Go Eagles.
fly,
All
you
right,
fly.
Good
everybody
night,
have a
Mr.
good one.
411.
All right.
Night.
Hey. All right, man. Good night.